Welcome to the Great Basin Seasonal Outlook for November 2018 through November 2019. This is Gina Palma. Over the last 30 days, temperatures have been just below normal over much of Utah into the Arizona Strip and parts of Nevada, and have been just above normal over southern Idaho into western Wyoming. Looking at precipitation on the right, for the last 30 days, precipitation has been above 150 to 200% of normal over all of Utah, the Arizona Strip, and the southern and eastern half of Nevada. Also up into parts of Idaho, we've seen near to just above normal precipitation. If we look at our drought conditions, as of just a few days ago, we see generally severe to extreme drought over much of the Great Basin, with exceptional drought over parts of far southeast Utah. Back into Nevada, we are seeing some drought over eastern Nevada, but really abnormally dry conditions across most of the western half of the region. Up into Idaho, severe drought has crept back into the far southern areas of the state, and we do have generally abnormally dry conditions elsewhere in the north. Looking at our seasonal outlook, which takes us through the end of January for the drought outlook, you can see many areas in brown showing drought intensifying or persisting in those areas. Looking at the 10-hour fuel moistures over the last couple of days, you can see generally fuel moistures are below 3 to 4% in the far south, and really dry conditions extending north into central and western Nevada. However, over the rest of the Great Basin, we have relatively high fuel moistures. Looking at 100-hour fuel moisture, mostly in the 6 to 15% range across the southern two-thirds of the region, and certainly higher up north. 1,000-hour fuel moisture showing about the same trend, about 6 to 15% over the western half of the Great Basin, and generally above 15% in the north and in the east. If we look at how our fuel conditions have changed over the last 30 days, this is showing ERC on September 26th on the left and October 30th on the right. You can see we've seen a significant drop in fire danger across the Great Basin, with most ERCs below the 50th to 70th percentile. If we look at some of our ERC charts, we will notice that the ERCs are really near to below normal over much of the Great Basin. The only exception really is western Nevada that has been on the drier side, and ERCs, although they are low, they are near record highs for the time of year. So now that we've looked at our past weather and fuel conditions, we'll see what happens over the next several months. First, temperature and precipitation for the 8 to 14-day outlook shows generally above normal temperatures expected and dry conditions for much of the Great Basin. Looking at some of the changes for the global oscillations across the area, and we are expecting an El Nino to develop in some fashion here over the next few months. You can see all of the forecast models really above that 0-degree line, so certainly in the positive direction, and most of those models are also in at least a weak El Nino, with some indicating a moderate to strong El Nino. So what implications does this have for the Great Basin for the winter months? Looking at the 1-month outlook for November, you can see above normal temperatures for much of the west and below normal precipitation in the north, with above normal precipitation in the south. This would be more of a classic El Nino situation as we go through the winter, with wetter conditions down south and drier conditions in the north. Looking at the 3-month outlook for December through February, very similar conditions, still dry in the far north, with those above normal precipitation signatures in the south. We will continue to monitor this, because if we do get an above normal precipitation year in the south, we would certainly be watching for new fine fuel growth that could accelerate fire season in those areas. Now we'll put all the pieces together for the next few months. We are into the off season, into the winter months, and we are expecting normal conditions really for November through December and January and February. The only exceptions might be if we see a prolonged period of dry and warm weather, and then we follow that with a cold front or something moving through giving us stronger winds. We could certainly see brief periods of higher fire potential for a burning period or two during that windy time. However, again, that'd be pretty localized, and that would be assuming we would have fire starts during that scenario. That concludes our webcast for this month. Check back next month for the latest updates.